Hey there, online students. It's Dr. Buer. I'm coming to you from my office today on campus. Today we have Logos Bible software on site for training this week. Pretty excited about it. It's always a fun week for students to learn a little bit more about how to use the software, and I always learn something else too. So I'm hopeful that it's going to be a great week. I do hope that if you are available, that you can come to some of these trainings. We're having them this morning, this afternoon, and then Tuesday night and Thursday night. You can check out dts.edu/logos/training for all of the ones that we have available. But if you're not available for that, we do this again in the spring. We do this on a pretty regular rotation. But I also hope to have about one webinar a month. So keep a lookout in your email inbox for information on that. So if you're not local to any of our campuses, hopefully you can catch us on some webinars. So at any rate, just a quick update on various issues relative to our classes this week. So without further ado, let's take a look. In NT103, the big assignment this week obviously is the TC problem. And so I wanted to go over a couple of documents, the worksheet and the summary, and then the sample summary to help you see exactly what is required of you for Wednesday's assignment. So let's take a look at those, and hopefully that will clarify a lot of things for you. This is a copy of the textual criticism worksheet plus summary that you are going to complete for the text critical problem in Ephesians 2:21. The most important thing to get is that you need to have an answer, some material, some discussion for every single one of these categories. For example, you can see here that we start with an introduction to the problem. I expect to see a short discussion on what the meaning of the variants are, how it impacts the understanding of the verse. And then you'll see under internal evidence we have several different categories to address. For example, here you can see I expect you to include your majuscule script examples for each variant. You can include those on a separate sheet, of course, but you can also type them here if you would prefer. And then I expect to see some discussion of all of these subcategories, transcriptional probability, intentional, then unintentional, then intrinsic probability, context, and style. If you use this Word document, you can, of course, add material, and it can expand the size of the document. It's not meant to fit within this limited space. This really is meant to be an outline that you use to make sure that you hit upon all the areas of the method. And then you have to discuss the three canons, how this problem would relate to those, and then you give a decision based only on internal evidence, and then you give a rating. And then you would have to march through the same basic thing for the external evidence. You need to include a chart of the manuscript evidence, either here by inserting a table or on a separate sheet, which you would attach to your final assignment. You need to discuss then date and character, geographical distribution, genealogical solidarity, make your decision, and rate your evidence, or rate your external evidence. And then you would need to give a final conclusion in which you consider all the evidence and you identify the most important evidence, what swayed you, what was the deciding factor for you, and then give a final rating for your decision on this problem. So the worksheet is really designed to help you walk through all facets of a text critical problem. Now you may find that there's a particular area that doesn't really add to the discussion. All you would do is simply say, I did not find any evidence which would affect this issue. Now, to be frank, I think that you really need to stretch yourself and make sure that you're considering all options based upon everything that you've read and everything that you've learned through the lectures. But if that's your final judgment, just be sure to state that within the particular section of the worksheet. Now, the summary is very simply your write-up of the particular problem. So in order to explain this a little more carefully, let me switch over and show you the actual sample problem that I did and posted online for the class. In this sample TC problem summary, what I'm attempting to show you is how you can represent the decisions you've made within a fairly tight space. You'll see on the right that I have basically little notes about the goal of this summary is to The goal of this sample summary is to show you how you can take all of the worksheet information, all of the facets of the problem, and then collapse them into a short discussion. On the left, you can see where I have the introduction to the problem, and then I show you where I begin my discussion of internal evidence, and then I begin my discussion of external evidence, and then I have my conclusion. On the right are various notes about key things that I've done. For example, I do have a statement about the meaning of the problem. I do mention the canons as appropriate. I do focus on key evidence that swayed me, and not all the evidence, but the key evidence. And then I give you a final decision about what I think is an appropriate reading, and then apply it to the exegesis of the passage. Now, this will take you a little bit of time to do, obviously, because you're trying to pack a lot of information into a short space. But the goal is to develop a clear, crisp explanation of the problem, your decision, and the evidence that swayed you. This will be what you use in the exegetical papers that you write, both for NT104 and 105, so it's a pretty important exercise. So it's meant to just be a summary of all the things that you look at, with key evidence and key decisions represented here. Okay, well, I do hope this fourth week of classes is a good week for you. I am enjoying the classes. I'm enjoying interacting with you by email and through the online forums. I hope that continues to be a blessing to you. Let me know if you have questions, and otherwise, full speed ahead. Have a great week.